Hey YouTube, I've got the new Lenovo Legion 7 with AMD 6700M. For my first video on it, we're going to do a benchmark in several games at 1080p and 1440p and do a comparison with a full power RTX 3060. Previously, the 6700M was only in the Delta 15 that I reviewed and the Asus G14. Both of those were not full power. There are now two full power variants of the 6700M, the Legion 7 of course, and also the Alienware M17R5. The comparison laptop I'll be using is the Helios 300 with the i7-12700H and RTX 3060. You could make the argument it isn't totally fair since in general the i7-12700H is slightly better, especially in some games, than the 6800H. But with any of the NVIDIA cards, you'll have the option of choosing an Intel or AMD processor. If you get any laptop with an AMD graphics card, it's going to have an accompanying AMD processor. My review on the Legion 7 all AMD will be up in the next few days, so make sure if you haven't already subscribed so you don't miss that, and it helps me out a ton. Jumping right in, our first game is Cyberpunk 2077. The first comparison I've thrown in two other results, the Delta 15 with the 5800H and 6700M, and the Legion 5 Pro with the RTX 3070 and 5800H. At 1080p ultra settings without ray tracing, the 6700M blows away the RTX 3060. Turning on ray tracing at 1080p, the RTX 3060 takes the lead by 7 frames per second. Switching the resolution to 1440p, the 6700M comes in 18% ahead of the RTX 3060 in ultra settings. Turning on ray tracing, the 3060 keeps a very slight lead, but significantly reduced from that it had at 1080p. That's because at 1440p, the 6GB of VRAM in the 3060 is being pushed to its limit. As seen here in this footage I recorded with the 6700M where I do my benchmark, it's using 7 to 8GB of VRAM. The 6700M has, I'm pretty sure, 10GB of VRAM, and the RTX 3060 only has 6. Our next game, Far Cry 6, is an AMD sponsored title, but that still wasn't enough for the 6700M 6800H combo to take the lead over the Intel NVIDIA machine at 1080p, with the 3060 coming in 6% ahead. Bumping up to 1440p, however, the 6700M takes a 15% lead. Assassin's Creed Valhalla, another AMD sponsored title, shows the Legion 7 taking a huge lead, 102 to 72 at 1080p. That makes the math pretty easy, about a 31% lead. Switching to 1440p, the only game with an opposite effect, the gap actually closes some, with 6700M dropping to about a 19% advantage in frames per second. In Forza 5 at 1080p, the extreme settings preset that has ray tracing on, the 6700M maintains an edge by 5 frames. Bumping up to 1440p, the 6700M takes a 22% lead. In Shadow of the Tomb Raider at 1080p without ray tracing, the 3060 is less than 1% or 2 frames ahead of the 6700M with ray tracing on. They get the same 67 frames per second. At 1440p, the 6700M was 13% better without ray tracing. With ray tracing turned on, the 3060 pulled ahead by a few frames. Across the board, looking at the highest setting level tested, meaning with ray tracing if applicable, the 6700M was 3.7% better at 1080p and 16.8% better at 1440p. Looking at 3D Mark, if that carries any weight with you, the 6700 scored a 10845 and the 3060 scored 9032. I will be getting a laptop with a 3070 Ti to also compare to the 6070, so make sure you subscribe for that and of course for my upcoming Legion 7 review. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions, make sure you ask them below.